Madam C.J. Walker, American businesswoman and first millionaire. Starting from the bottom, have you imagined yourself to be on top? If you answered no, so did Madam C.J. Walker, America's first female self-made millionaire. Who would have thought that an orphan would become a millionaire? Early life. She was born Sarah Breedlove on December 23, 1867, before taking the name Madam C.J. Walker. She grew up on a cotton plantation near Delta, Louisiana. Owen and Minerva, her parents, were Louisiana sharecroppers who were born into slavery. Sarah, their fifth child, was the first free-born child in her family following the Emancipation Proclamation. She was orphaned at the age of 7, married at the age of 14 to Moses McWilliams, with whom she had a daughter, Alelia, in 1885, and became a widow at the age of 20. Walker and her 2-year-old daughter Alelia shifted to St. Louis, where Walker balanced going to night school and working as a laundress. She participated in the St. Paul African Methodist Episcopal Church choir as well as the National Association of Colored Women, where she became active. She first met Charles J. Walker in St. Louis, the man who would become her second husband and inspired the name of her eventual empire. First venture. Sarah didn't think about business until she began to lose her hair. Just as Sarah's self-esteem rose as her scalp became infected, she went nearly bald. In the late 19th century, hair loss was a common problem among women due to diet, scalp diseases, hygienic issues, and hair products that cause damage. Sarah no longer wanted to cover her hair with head wraps, which symbolized her rural origins, as she became more involved in social clubs. She encountered black hair care businesswoman Annie Turnbull Malone while looking for a solution. Annie had moved to St. Louis to take advantage of the visitors attracted by the 1904 World's Fair. She offered free trial treatments to promote her goods and specialized in scalp treatments and hair restoration. Similar to barbering for men, hairdressing for black women paid better than working as a domestic helper or a washerwoman. The company hired Sarah as one of its first salespeople, and Malone later claimed that she solved Sarah's hair loss problem personally. Sarah used Malone's products, among others, until she developed and invented her own. Sarah experimented with a variety of ingredients before coming up with a special mixture to promote hair growth. In an effort to get better, she tried a variety of homemade remedies and store-bought hair care items. She realized right away that making the ingredients herself was the best course of action. Around this time, she also noticed many other black women had the same problem. Sarah's secret formula included sulfur and frequent hair and scalp cleansing. Sarah didn't consider hair care products to be a business until she needed a fix for her issue and realized there was a big demand for them as well. Sarah decided to start selling her goods door to door in black St. Louis neighborhoods. Sarah married Charles J. Walker in 1905, and as her business grew more successful, she decided to rebrand herself as Madam C.J. Walker. Adopting the title of Madam also provided Sarah Walker with an advantage at a time when black women were routinely mocked in public spaces, just as she began her own business separate from Malone's. She moved to Denver, Colorado, and began working for and selling items for Annie Malone, who approached her after noticing her ability to sell. While working for Malone, she began designing her line and establishing her headquarters. Walker began selling her own concoction of ingredients, a modified version of Malone's sulfur recipe, and her customers loved it. When it came to her finding, Walker knew she had hit gold. She established a brand and set her products apart from those made by cosmetic companies by marketing exclusively to the black community and guaranteeing that her products would treat black hair. She sold her handcrafted products to black women directly, using a tailored door-to-door approach. She combined petroleum jelly and sulfur in her first line of products, which led to a disagreement with Malone after the latter accused her of stealing her ingredients even though sulfur has been used for hair growth for centuries. Back in Indianapolis, Malone felt betrayed and publicly criticized Walker's business in a Denver area newspaper. That's when their lifelong feud began, because Malone said, "You stole my formula." Despite the conflict between Walker and Malone, she persisted in moving forward with her business, involving her family members in expanding its tentacles. She started traveling and giving lectures about her products and hair care after divorcing Malone, and she quickly grew a large following. As an advertiser, Charles J. Walker was very helpful to Sarah in promoting and growing her hair care company, which would eventually become the name of her empire. Thanks to his connections, she was given exposure by the black press, which thoroughly covered her talks and products. Walker delegated control of the Denver mail order business to her daughter Alelia in 1906, while she and her husband traveled the southern and eastern United States to expand their business. Madam C.J. Walker Company. In 1905, Walker left her home in New York City with just $1.05 in her pocket. Her fortunes changed when her products like vegetable shampoo, wonderful hair grower, and Glossine gained a devoted following. They married shortly after Charles J. Walker relocated to Denver in 1906. Her husband initially assisted her with marketing, advertising, and mail orders. However, as their business expanded and their differences grew, the couple got divorced. Walker opened a factory and beauty school in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, named after her daughter in 1908. She relocated her company's headquarters in 1910 to Indianapolis, a city with easy access to railroads for distribution and a sizable African-American clientele. She handed Alelia control of the Pittsburgh branch. At the height of production, the Madam C.J. Walker Company employed over 3,000 people, largely black women who sold Walker's products door to door. Inspiring black businesswomen. Perhaps even more than her status as a self-made millionaire, Madam Walker is remembered as one of the earliest proponents of black women's financial independence. Following the successful launch of her own cosmetics company, she devoted herself to training black women in the creation, management, and promotion of their own businesses. In 1917, Walker started putting together state and local support groups for her sales agents by taking inspiration from the structure of the National Association of Colored Women. The Madam C.J. Walker Beauty Culturists Union of America was born out of these clubs. The union's first annual conference, which convened in Philadelphia during the summer of 1917, hosted 200 attendees and was one of the first national gatherings of American women entrepreneurs. Madam Walker demanded justice for the deaths of 100 black people during the recent St. Louis race riots in her keynote speech, after calling America the greatest country under the sun. The delegation was moved by her remarks and sent a telegram to President Woodrow Wilson requesting legislation to prevent a recurrence of such disgraceful affairs. Alelia Bundles wrote, "With that gesture, the organization had become something that perhaps no other currently existing group could claim. American women entrepreneurs banded together to use their money and numbers to demonstrate their political will." Madam C.J. Walker's death and legacy. Madam Walker died of hypertension on May 25, 1919, at the age of 51, at her country home in Irvington-on-Hudson. Her plans for the Walker Building in Indianapolis were carried out after her death and completed in 1927. She is remembered today as a trailblazing black female entrepreneur who influenced many through her financial independence, business acumen, and philanthropy. Despite facing difficulties, Madam C.J. Walker persisted. She rose from working on a plantation picking cotton to becoming one of the wealthiest women in America. Most importantly, she was very helpful to many people along the way. She serves as an example for women who want to establish their own empires. For the oppressed black community in the 19th century, she was the hope. It's time to be inspired by her example and speak up for ourselves and others.